Cheers, beer runners. A while back, actually one of my earliest YouTube videos, I think, I put together what I called the Getting Started Guide for Strava. But what I've realized over the last few months is that title was a little bit misleading, because what it really was just a highlight of my 5 favorite features on the Strava app. And unfortunately, I've gotten a lot of questions, especially recently. I think there's been a significant uptick in people's interest in Strava since this whole quarantine situation. And I've been getting a lot more questions about just the basics of Strava and getting set up with Strava. So I figured I would put together a quick start guide on how to use the app. So if you're already up and running on Strava, this video is not for you. But if you are unfamiliar with Strava, just looking for a guide on how to get started, then this is the perfect video for you. I'm going to walk through step by step how to set up your account, as well as some of the most basic features that you should be familiar with. So without further ado, let's jump into the guide. Alright, so I've got my computer here, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all so you can follow along on there. I think it'll make it a little bit easier. But as you can see, I just have the Strava homepage opened up with just the basic information on officially getting signed up for Strava. So there's a bunch of different options for how you can set up your account if you wanted to link it to a different service. Just to keep things simple, I'm just going to use my email, although I am going to sign up with a Gmail account. I'm just going to type in my Gmail, put in a password, and there we go. Literally creating your profile is as easy as that, or activating your account. Then you just have to put in some basic profile information, name, birthday, basic stuff like that, and your gender. And once you have that information set up, it's going to ask you if you want to connect it with Facebook. I would highly recommend this. I'm going to get back to that later because I just want to walk you through some of the basics first. Obviously, you want to be kept in the loop about their emails. They put out a lot of information about like different challenges where you can unlock certain rewards from different companies if the challenges are sponsored, and just overall helpful information for users. So I always recommend opting into their email service. And then it's going to give you some information. Strava Summit, if you're interested in that. I have another video that highlights some of the features that I found most useful about Strava Summit. That's their premium service, so it is the paid version of Strava. Again, if you want to watch my video on that, I go a little bit deeper into the features that I appreciated about Strava Summit, as well as what I found to be the pros and cons of the service. Personally, for me, I just use the free version of the app. I run with a Garmin watch, and the Garmin app, I think, gives me a lot of the features that I would look forward to in the paid version of Strava. So I just don't see the need right now to pay for the Strava Summit function, but there are some useful features on there if you wanted to check that out. But we'll do maybe later and get started. Alright, so you click through all those windows, and now you are officially at your homepage or your feed. So again, when you're first getting started, it's going to just continue to make suggestions on ways that you can continue to build up your profile. The first thing that I am going to do is head to my settings. And the first thing I want to do is just finish setting up my profile. So obviously you want to include a profile picture so people know who you are. Go to pictures. I got my logo preloaded in here. And it's going to let you crop it to make it look however you'd like. That looks pretty good to me, so I'll save it. That's updated. You can see the information you put in initially was just auto-populated into some of the fields. You have the option to include your weight if that's something that you'd like to track. You can put in a little bit something about yourself. If you'd like to include a bio, and that is it as far as setting up your profile information, just getting some of the basic information out there. The next thing that I would recommend, and the reason that I'm doing this on a computer as opposed to the app, is one of the features that can only be used on the Strava website, and that is the ability to add gear to your Strava profile. So if you are using a bike, you can add different bicycles to here. For me, I'm going to add different running shoes. So I actually just got a new pair of Ultras, but the reason that this is so helpful, and this is easily probably my top favorite feature about Strava, is that it's going to track the mileage on all of the different shoes that you're running with. So put in my Escalantes. We'll just say blue Ultras Spring 2020. I usually just put in a nickname that makes them more easily identifiable, and I'll get to that sort of when you're selecting from the list, why you just want to be able to easily identify which shoe is which. I don't include any notes like that, but then you can also add in if you want to receive a notification once those shoes hit a certain mileage. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and just set it for 350. I used to do it at 250, but I find I'm usually running closer to 350, 400 miles in a pair of shoes, so I don't necessarily need the notification before then, but if you want it earlier, you can get it. And I believe if you've set it at something like 250, you'll get the initial notification at 250, but then you'll get an additional reminder every time you hit a 50-mile threshold. So if you get it at 250, then at 300, then at 350, you'll continue to get those reminders. But then we'll go ahead and add those shoes, and basically now what happens when you complete a run with Strava, when you record an activity, you can go into that activity and edit it and choose what gear you were using. So if it's a specific bicycle or a specific running shoe, you can select what gear you used, and it will automatically add the mileage from that activity to those shoes or to that bicycle. So just a great way to easily track your mileage across a number of different running shoes, especially if you're cycling through different pairs. It just makes it way simpler for you. So you got your gear on there, and then the last thing you're going to do is just worry about social connections and getting connected with people on, as far as finishing your profile, is just getting connected with people on the app. Obviously this is a social media app for endurance athletes, so you can see over on the right hand side there's a number of different functions that you can use to connect with people that you're already connected with on other services. I mentioned I run with a Garmin, so I can connect with my Garmin friends. Facebook is probably the number one with your Gmail contacts, or if you use MyFitnessPal. If you are just at your, if you just go to your dashboard or your main feed, you'll see that stuff's going to pop up on here anyway, so you can add friends that way. And if you go to your profile, there's a find friends option right there, so you can type in email addresses, or like I said, the easiest way is just to sync it with your Facebook, and it will automatically invite any friends that you have on Facebook. It'll show you who they are if they're already using Strava, so that you can connect that way. Obviously, I've been skipping over it, but you're going to have this thing up at the top about wanting you to confirm your email address. Just make sure you take care of that nice and early, especially if you opted into those email messages, to make sure that you are receiving them. But the other way that you can find friends, and I am just going to do it through here and look for myself. So this obviously isn't my main profile. My profile is linked with my personal Gmail account, but as you can see, search for my name. I'm the #1 person that shows up, so I'll go ahead and give myself a follow. And then if I go back to my main feed, all of my runs are going to populate here. So if you follow multiple people, this is what your feed is going to look like. It's going to show you, you can choose if you want it to sort by like a curated feed of what Strava thinks you're most looking for, the people you're most interested in following, or you can just have it searched chronologically or sorted chronologically by the most recent activities. And it's just fun to see what your friends are up to. Again, a huge part of this app is just to connect with other endurance athletes. I think that's especially important during the times that we currently find ourselves in, but you can definitely use that to help motivate you to get yourself out on a run. And the other thing that you want to make sure you're doing, the huge part of Strava, is giving people the Strava version of a like or a kudos, and you can also leave comments on their activities if you are interested. If you're following local people, it can also be fun to see how they're doing on different routes, and Strava actually has a feature where you can go try to race them and set records on specific segments that you all run regularly, so something important to check out or keep up with. And then the last thing I would say to check out, once your profile is all set up, everything is good to go. Over on this right hand side, you have options to take advantage of challenges or to get involved in clubs. Clubs are exactly what they sound like. They're digital running clubs, so definitely something to check out, especially now if you're already part of a regular, more well-known, actually in-person running club. A lot of them have started setting up digital versions on Strava so that you can continue to be with those runners even in isolation. But then the challenges are something I really enjoy. Each month there's different challenges put on by Strava, and a lot of other companies will sponsor challenges for athletes where you can unlock different rewards, where you're basically just pushing yourself to accomplish, if it's a mileage challenge, a speed challenge, time on feet challenge. There's a bunch of different challenges that can take place. Again, I talk more about that in my Getting Started guide for Strava, so check that out if you are interested. But these are just the most basic features of getting started on Strava, and then the only thing left to do is to record your first activity. So this is where your phone comes into play, or if you have a GPS watch or something else that you are using, you can use that as well. Personally, for me, I use a Garmin watch, so the nice thing is the Garmin Connect app syncs directly with Strava. So I just go out with my watch, I record my activity. As soon as I finish, it links to my phone. uploads that to Garmin, and then Garmin shares it automatically directly to Strava. So very, very seamless. Most GPS watches or something like that will have some kind of built-in client that will allow you to just share runs directly to Strava if that's something that you're interested in. If you don't have a GPS watch already, you can record directly from your phone. If you just open the app, you'll see a feature right on there that will just say record your first activity. Just make sure you are connected to your GPS before you start running. I've heard that from a few folks, that they start an activity and immediately start running, but they don't give their GPS a chance to actually connect and locate them, and so your metrics can get all thrown off. So you just want to pay attention to that. And then the last way to record an activity, if you don't have a watch or any GPS to record it, but let's say you're running a race and you have your official time, your official distance, you can manually input an activity as well, so you can always upload something that way. So there you have it, a very quick start guide on how to get up and running with Strava, pun intended. If you do decide to download the app, set up your profile, make sure you give me a follow. You can see the link to my real Strava account down in the notes below, but I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I hope this made it a little bit easier and answered some of your questions as far as what the basic functions of Strava are and how you can get set up with your account. If you are looking for more information on some of those other features, I have 2 other videos: the Getting Started with Strava video, which is going to focus on some of those like challenges, club features that you can take advantage of, as well as my guide to Strava Summit. And when I tested that out, it gives you a free trial for the first 30 days if that's something that you're interested in. I did try it for the 30 days and just went over the features that I thought were the best, features that I didn't necessarily find as interesting or as appealing to me, and ultimately what my decision was to just go back to the free version of the app. So feel free to check those out. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you out there. Cheers.